Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. This is Carrie Desberg, Chief Marketing Officer for Impartner. Welcome to, I've decided this morning I'm going to call it the current normal in this unscriptable period of history that changes every single day. What we know for sure is that partners are ever more critical to closing that last mile when we can't be there in full force for still the foreseeable future. And we all know that what we want as vendors is we want to drive demand to our partners, and our partners want demand. They want it right on their front door, right to the front door. But and we want to do it in a way that protects our brand, right? When you have partners amplifying your brand out there, which is ever so critical, you want to do it in a way that keeps your brand consistent. But the dirty little secret is that through channel marketing solutions have been out there for quite some time, but the adoption has been very, very, very low. And we're here today to talk about why and what to do about it. So as I introduce our speakers today, it's really my pleasure to, next slide, please, Lela, to talk about who's out there. At the beginning of the pandemic, we put together a channel chief advisory board. I was a terrible snot about this, if you must know the truth, and I really put together the group of people that we really saw as a company being out there on the front lines, making headlines, speaking on those stages when we were on stages. We'll get back there soon, I hope, and who were really right by the side of our top customers everywhere around the world. And one of those is Glenn Robertson. He is CEO of Purechannels. Purechannels, they are a top channel marketing agency in the UK. They win award after award, and they have just expanded to the US, and there's a reason for that. He's a formidable force in the channel marketing space. And also my colleague, who I am so proud to call a colleague, Rob Franks. This man is money. He has so much credibility with customers and prospects. He's got a huge history in SaaS technology, including from companies like Marketo. And so Glenn's going to talk about what's going on with channel marketing right now and what people are looking for in demand generation solutions and why right now in this current normal in 2021, it is more critical than ever before. And then Rob's going to bring to life our new TCMA solutions and why they're different and why they are the most adopted solutions out there. So without any further ado, I'm going to hop off camera and turn it over to you, Glenn.
As ever, you're so kind, Kerry. Thank you so much, not only for your kind words just then, but also for having me here this afternoon, this morning. Much appreciated, and thank you for welcoming me so warmly. So yes, Glenn Robertson, Purechannels. We are the channel agency. I'm CEO. I've been here 8 years, and we provide all kinds of services that you would expect of a really good B2B marketing agency, award-winning, as Kerry mentioned, globally servicing vendors, disties, and partners, and we do it with 100% dedication to the channel. So that's us. Enough of that. That's me. Okay, so what I want to ask you to consider today around partner marketing, demand gen, TCMA, okay, is that actually the tech works. Consider this. TCMA was not adopted because of the tech. It's almost always because of what us humans do with it, and how we work with it. The tech works, right? It's been built to work, not forsaking a few natural bugs that we experience through tech, but the brilliance and the sophistication of the tech has been built to work. The fact that it is in the market means that it works, okay? What we do with it and how we present it, how we launch it as vendor humans wanting our partners to automate their marketing, that's the bit that unfortunately we're getting wrong. So we're doing the tech a disservice, and the Impartner TCMA, as you'll see later, is outstanding. It's only when the humans get involved that it tends to go a little bit wrong. And what we'll do is we'll take a look through and see why that is the case. So, essentially, digital marketing. Okay, the last year has been crazy. There's been all sorts of change needed and forced upon us. Everything has changed. The buying journey, the overall buying behavior has changed. Working from home, working remotely has meant everything within the channel has had to change. Forrester tells us that 90% of customer buying decisions start online. Okay, that's digital. IDC tells us that 75% of B2B buyers use social media to research the vendors that they're going to use before any outreach occurs. I mean, and that's crazy. They're big stats. Sellers therefore have less time to engage in person to make a sale, and they have less time to make a buying influence. And buyers are doing more and more research on their own because they've got so much more time to be able to do it because of the nature of how they're working at the moment. Digital transformation, we know now, is no longer simply about migrating to the cloud or improving business process. It has to include sales and marketing activity. And the best way to do that at the moment is to go digital and to be digital and to embrace digital. And that's what, it's not a preference anymore. It's not really a choice. It's been forced upon us and we've had to change. And that's why we talk about digital transformation 2.0, because we've moved on. Okay. And actually in the last 60 seconds, as I've been speaking literally about the digital activity that happens, every 60 seconds, take a look at these stats. More than 18 million texts were just sent. More than 4.5 million videos were viewed on YouTube. 87,500 people were tweeting. 188 million emails were sent. There were 3.8 million search queries and over 3 million Facebook likes and over 1,300 LinkedIn posts. That's a hell of a lot of information of activity to happen, but also to find and consume. 60 seconds in digital is a really, really active period of time. So you amplify that out through minutes and through hours and through days, there's a whole host of activity out there. A recent buyer survey found that buyers primarily are using 3 tools to conduct their research. LinkedIn, 81%, blogs, 71%, YouTube, 60% of these respondents to the survey were saying that these are the key places that they're going to, the key areas that they're being influenced in terms of their own research and their own buying behavior. So genuinely, we believe as an agency working with Impartner, working with our clients and working with a whole host of different people right the way through the channel, disties, vendors, all types of partner, we believe there has never been a more important time to support your partners with digital marketing. The good news is there's good solutions out there, all right? And it's really important because TCMA through channel marketing automation, there's a clue in the title. It has been around a little while. It's not a new concept, but there is a new way of doing it, and there's new understanding and new acceptance around what we need to do. There was an original theory that we could create some campaigns in a box and just put them in a co-branding environment, and because it was automated, all of our partners would be super grateful, and they would just flock in and be merrily sending out all of our campaigns automatically, like there was no marketing tomorrow. Now, unfortunately, we now know that for many reasons that just didn't happen. Not least, there was a lack of understanding of the partners and their businesses and what they need in order to be able to do this type of marketing, because it was new to them. And because it's not new, what we've done is we've experienced things, and therefore some myths have been created around TCMA. So I'm just going to make a few moments on talking about the myths that exist around TCMA. One of the main reasons that partners are not adopting TCMA is because of the myths, and because of those early findings. It's kind of like we'll drink a bit, you've had that experience, where you've drunk a bit too much of the wrong liquor, and it might have been whilst at university or on holiday in Mexico, and it was a bad experience with some tequila or some whiskey or something. And we've kind of done that. We've drunk a little bit too much from the bottle of early TCMA theory, had a bad experience, and now we've decided just to lay off it for a bit whilst we recover. However, these myths, they exist and they're barriers, but they do exist for a reason, because they are a result of that bad experience. And experience creates perception. So reason number one why your TCMA or somebody else's TCMA isn't being adopted as well as it could be is mindset and perception. So let's take a look at some of those myths that affect your partner's mindset and perception. They might think, because of their experience, that it's going to be too complicated. Well, the good news is it actually isn't. They might say we don't have enough resource. Well, actually, if you use TCMA properly, and later on you'll see from Rob that that's entirely possible, you don't actually need that much dedicated resource. They might say we're not marketing experts. Well, that's good, because you don't actually need to be. It will take too long, it will take too much time for us to learn new things. Well, again, the good news is it really doesn't take that long to learn it, because it's quite simple. We don't have enough content, or we don't have any content to share. Well, that's another good piece of information, because you don't need much content, because all of the content is provided for you, brackets, most of the time. We're going to say, oh, it takes too long to set up, we haven't got time to do this. And well, actually, again, it really doesn't take that long to set up. And they might even say, as a real fob off or a real push away, we don't have access. Well, everybody is almost certainly always going to have access. So again, these are myths, these are perceptions, these are mindsets that are created as a result of some early poor experience. So what we have to do is, we know that these myths can be misunderstood as actually being the partner's fault, but it isn't. All it is a response to an experience that they've had. So one of the main reasons that partners don't adopt your TCMA is actually less about them and more about you. And when I talk of you, I talk of the vendor. Okay, so let's stop kind of blaming the partners, because actually, as we'll see in a minute, it might not be their fault. Reason number two, okay, partner experience. Now, we're the channel agency here via a number of different mediums, talk an awful lot about PX, partner experience. Now, the last 12 months have been the absolute year and the emergence of PX. Kind of everyone's talking about it, and I tend to spend quite a lot of my time talking about it too, because it's so important. If partners are happy, they're far more likely to do good stuff. So what we do is, in order to optimize partner experience, we need to understand the partners and their businesses. This is like 101. This is basic stuff. We'll just use this as a reminder. Partner experience is not necessarily about tech. It's not necessarily about vendors. It's not even necessarily about what you as a vendor might want. Partner experience is all about your partners and what they need. And there has to be consideration here for kind of both positive experience and negative experience, because if there has been a negative experience, we need to understand and appreciate that and drive to optimize positive experience. And so when we as an agency talk about partner experience, we focus on 5 core things: engagement, education, enablement, evaluation, and evolution over time. And what we'll do now is we'll just talk about those first 3 as the crux of some of the second reason why partners don't adopt TCMA. So engagement, it doesn't matter how good the platform actually is, and as we've identified earlier, the tech works, so it's good, right? If your partners are not using it, that's the issue, okay? And what we've got to ask yourselves is, why should they use this? Okay, how engaged are they? How did we launch it? How did we communicate it with them at launch and beyond launch? Did we gather enough key partner feedback and input from them, maybe from a select few partners who might have been able to drive some information around how partners might be engaged at the launch and over time? Do we measure engagement, and how often? And what do we do with the measurement that we've gauged, and how do we respond to it? How do we understand why and how partners engage, and importantly, how and why they don't? This is all part of the first part of partner experience, the engagement piece. The second piece is education. How have you helped your partners to learn about your TCMA and the impact that it can have on their business, because it's not just about the tech itself, it has to be about the impact that it's having on them. Because at the end of the day, we have to understand, right? We're basic human beings. We only know what we know until we learn a bit more, right? And the only way partners are going to learn a bit more is if we help to teach them. So education is really important. So do they know how easy it is? Really simple. Can we educate them on actually dispelling some of those myths that we talked about earlier? Because actually it can be simple. It is easy to set up. You don't need special resource. How do we keep partners informed and educated? What training has been offered? What training is available? And what training has been taken up in order for them to be TCMAers? And are there any levels of commitment that we might need to consider? Have they been given their requirements as part of their partner program to commit them to taking training when new things come out? Because we have to remember that education can't just be about product and tech. It has to be about go-to-market, servicing, support, marketing, sales, business development, demand generation. So education is super, super important. And the third one we'll look at as part of this second reason as to why partners don't adopt your TCMA is enablement. What can you do to help your partners do more better? All right. What support have you given to your partners? How have you ensured that partners are set up and ready to go? Have you done a walkthrough with them? Have you helped them to set up their first campaign to enable them to be able to do their second and their third and their fourth, or even manage the ongoing piece that's related to that first campaign? Show them how easy it is. Are all the partners, are all the people in the partner that are required to work with TCMA, are they all involved and supported? And is there enough collateral that partners can access easily? It's likely to be somewhere hidden away in the mystery of that partner portal that maybe people don't have access to, or at least think they don't have access to, but they jolly well do have access to it if only they knew how to do it, which comes back to education. Do they know who they need to talk to? Is it a PAM? Is it a CAM? Is it a BDM? Or is it somebody else that they need to talk to specifically about how to get involved with their TCMA? And are partners able to do more and better because of how you've enabled them? Okay, that was reason 2, partner experience. Now we're on to reason 3. All right, it's a little bit hard hitting, but hopefully you get the tone of this part of the presentation. Vendors, I know you think that TCMA is all about you, but it really isn't. You kind of got to get over it. Is the simple message, because it actually isn't all about you. It's not about making your life easier. It's about making your partners' lives easier. Whose life are you making easier when you're implementing TCMA? It isn't yours. Your life has been made easier and will be made easier as a knock-on effect to the success of your partners seeing good results from your TCMA. We saw this in the early stages of TCMA. The theory was you put the platform live and it would take care of itself. Clearly, that kind of failed. The early theory wasn't enough because we hadn't yet proven it one way or the other by the practice. So, we wouldn't be having this conversation about low adoption of TCMA had the early theory worked perfectly. So this is about making things easy for your partners to access world-class tech with very little knowledge and very little effort. This has to be partner-led. Being able to understand and respond to partner need and demonstrate the impact that you can have on their business is a fundamental priority in TCMA adoption. So a few things to think about. You can switch the pitch, okay? Ask questions, find out more about your partners. What resource do they have if they're worried that they need more? What time do they have? Where do they spend their efforts? This has to be about them and not necessarily about you. Understand their needs. What can we do to work together jointly and create success together? We do have to assume nothing about the capabilities of our partners, and therefore we have to support them as much as possible. We can't automatically assume that they want to be a sales and marketing extension of our business, because they actually really only care mostly about their business and how they're going to do more selling and marketing. So find out the things that they also can't do. Find a way that you can help them. It can be simple. You don't need loads of resource. You don't need to be an expert. We're here to help support you with whatever you need. Remember, If we've got this digital first mindset in vendor land, we can't automatically assume that that also is replicated and exists in partner land. And TCMA really should be seen as that bridge to the gap between knowing about something and then actually being able to do it. I say, so just a couple of things to finish off. I'm nearly there. So just a couple of other things to consider as we look at the adoption levels of TCMA. Let's consider there are actually no rubbish partners, just partners whose needs are not being met. If you think about your partners and you think that they're rubbish because they're not adopting your TCMA, it's not because they're rubbish partners. You need to find out how you can help them better and support them better. TCMA is a great way to achieve that, as it hits all the buttons. It just needs to be positioned in the right way so it can have impact and value on their business. If you think, this is a good one, if you think that your partners are being rubbish for you, that does actually say a little bit more about you than it does about them. And you can guarantee that if it seems like they're being rubbish for you, they're almost certainly being absolutely brilliant for somebody else. And just to finish off, there's a really interesting couple of words that we talk about here in the agency quite a lot, and it's just so relevant to the TCMA: impact and value. What and how can TCMA have impact and drive value on partners? It really, really can be that simple. It's really straightforward. Little effort can have a huge positive impact on a partner business and end up driving quite disproportionate value. And with that, I thank you so much for listening. And I'll hand over to Rob to tell you a little bit more about how Impartner's wonderful TCMA can add impact and value. Thanks for listening. Over to you, Rob.
Hey, Glenn, thanks so much. Really appreciate you joining us today and providing your insight and perspective on the market. It is my pleasure, folks, to kind of walk you through the product. We're going to set the stage with a few slides, walk through a couple of key values that I think are missing in the market today. We're going to define what a good TCMA is, and then we're going to dive into live product. If you've been on a webinar or a demo with me before, you know that I love showing live product and showing you really how technology can assist and scale a partner program, and that's what we're going to do today. Surprisingly, my first comment in regards to TCMA, shouldn't be a surprise, is that adoption is low. The technology that has been in the market for decades is rarely used. It's frequently purchased, but rarely used. And let me just give you a quick story that kind of brings this home. I was working with a really large telecom provider last year, had well over 300 partners that were licensed to leverage their TCMA platform. And as we talked through the value of that investment, they were spending about $100K a year just on TCMA. We were talking about the value of that. I said, how many partners are logging in? How many campaigns are being executed, say, in a 12-month period of time? The first comment surprised me. The brand said, well, I don't know. I'm not licensed to see those reports from the TCMA technology that we're currently invested in. So I'm going to have to go ask. So they made a phone call, asked the vendor, hey, how many partners are logging in? How many campaigns are being executed? So out of 300 partners, 7 campaigns in a 12-month period of time were executed out of that 100K investment. So what that tells me is that something's missing. You know, it's too hard, it's too complex. The enablement wasn't there. Something went wrong in that particular case to cause such a low adoption rate of that technology. So we've got to make sure that our partners have access to something that's dead simple. The second bullet there really, I think, is on vendors, on us that are providing technology. Whether it's licensing that's causing a lack of rollout to the long tail or the complexity, probably a little bit of both there. There's got to be a solution that I can purchase as a brand, as a company, and allow any partner to use it. I don't have to be selective. I don't have to dole it out as a privilege. I should be able, from a licensing perspective and from an adoption standpoint, allow all of my partner ecosystem to leverage the value of a TCMA. The other thing that I think the market needs to provide companies is a unified experience. So if you think about how Impartner has been in the market forever as a PRM vendor, if you're thinking about a TCMA add-on to a PRM, you're probably thinking, well, it's going to be a siloed application. And then you might be thinking, well, I need a learning management system to help me train the partners on TCMA, so let's buy an LMS. So just in that short time, I've now expanded my tech stack for my poor partners to a PRM, a TCMA, and an LMS application. And really what needs to happen and what's happened today with the Impartner TCMA platform is we've integrated that into one unified partner experience. So no more multiple logins, no more disjointed user interfaces. The PRM, the training, the TCMA is all under one umbrella, one look and feel. One thing that we've been pounding in the market forever is that partner technology should be seamlessly integratable to other applications when that makes sense. So if we are, in this case, looking at lead attribution, lead disposition, lead acceptance, we probably need to flow that to a centralized application. Most of the time it's a CRM. And so you want to make sure that your TCMA output, right, the lead acceptance, the lead nurture, the lead disposition, you want to make sure that all of that is visible to your systems of record and to your corporate marketing. And so no longer is it acceptable to have a TCMA marketing partner-specific application sitting by itself doing its own thing without telling the rest of the organization how successful it's been. And then finally, we've got to have a technology where the call to action, right, what we're asking of the consumer is very, very specific. It's not generic. And we want to make sure that that call to action promotes the partner and not per se the vendor, okay? Partners will adopt technology when it puts their brand in a very advantageous position, at least equal to the vendor. But most of the time, TCMA calls to action, we're taking prospects to a vendor's corporate site to fill out a form. That's never going to work. Partners are never going to promote an audience member that they have brought into a campaign to be taken to a website that's not their own. And so we want to make sure that calls to action are highly targeted and partner centric. Okay, I wanted to throw a quick slide in here to sort of dispel the thought that your corporate marketing investment can handle partner marketing. Through channel marketing was never intended to be managed by a marketing automation tool. I think if you'll go to a Marketo, if you go to a Pardot, they'll tell you that. It was never intended to be leveraged by external audiences. The attribution model within those tools is just not developed in such a way that a third party who runs a campaign can be attributed to the success of that campaign. So while I'm sure you've already invested in corporate marketing technology, don't get under the spell that tech stack is going to do that which you want to do with your TCMA strategy. Okay. All right, let's kind of keep moving on. I want to just kind of quickly show you, next slide, please, sort of what Impartner is offering as I show this to you in the next little bit. So again, you know Impartner as a PRM vendor. We have taken that PRM and we have created as a hub of technologies that you now can roll out to your partners that are oftentimes and have been in the past, those TCMA Asauruses, been point solutions, been siloed application. So what we're rolling out today is this concept of an all-inclusive one-stop shop for partners and for vendors to manage this technology in one central location. So whether it's training your partners, whether it's designing the campaign, whether it's showing the partner how to execute the campaign, and whether it's reporting on the success of a partner's campaign, all of that is now under one interface, one user login, centralized within the Impartner PRM. Okay, so let's jump into the demo itself. Let me switch my screen. Thank you, Lala. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. This is our demo portal. So think of Alta Technologies, a fictitious tech company. So think of that as your brand. I'm going to reference Alta as the brand. And I am logged in as one of my favorite people, Jane. She is a partner. So think of her as the consumer of your partner program, and she is a marketer, and she has access to your partner portal. Okay. So as Jane logs in as a marketer, she is presented functionality that is specific to her role. So Jane can come over here to the marketing section of the portal, and she can peruse the content that is available to her. Now, this may not be all of your content, but this is that which you have curated specifically for her. Maybe it's industry specific, maybe it's role specific. And one of the things that Jane can do is she can pick up a showcase. This is a word that you're going to hear a lot from Impartner over the next little while. She can look at these showcases that have been created by Alta, and she can leverage these showcases. So let me just click on this preview button. And what this is going to do is this is going to show me what the showcase looks like. So again, Alta is the brand, Jane is the partner, and she can take this showcase and do a couple of things with it. One is very quickly with what? 1, 2, 3, 4, with 5 lines of code and an easy copy and paste technology, Jane can embed this showcase into her website. So let's take a look at that. So Jane's company is Arches. Okay, so Arches is the partner. Alta is the brand. So you can see here that Alta is controlling the message, but Arches controls the real estate. Any call to action off of this social syndicated content drives audience members back to the partner. And that right there will make every partner smile. Okay, any call to action that drives the partner, or I'm sorry, to the prospect back to the partner is going to be massively adopted and a huge win for the partner. Okay. Let me come back here to the portal as Jane. So she can pick up an email that might drive traffic to the showcase. She might adopt automated social posts that might drive audiences back to her showcase. She has a multi-channel option. She can pick, she can choose those treatments within those channels that are most appropriate to her prospects and customers. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to come over here. Jane has chosen to automate tweets from Alta. So Alta, and they've got a content manager, they've got a team of content owners. They might have contracted with an agency like Glenn, where content is being driven and created, and Jane has clicked a button that says, anytime a tweet around security comes out of Alta, I want Alta to automatically post it to my tweet, to my Twitter feed. So this is what that looks like. Again, content owned by the brand, the delivery and the channel owned by the partner. Okay, so partner looks like a thought leader. In this case, Jane's Twitter feed is full of good content, makes her look like she's an expert, and it's showcasing the relationship that she has with this company, Alta. So now let's think of the end prospect, me, okay? I'm interested in this. I really want to contact Arches and learn more about Alta's desktop security. So I've got a link. I've got a smart link here that opens up a specific call to action. Notice again, the call to action, where did it take me? It took me to the partner's website, not the brand's, okay? And notice that the smart link, and again, that's another phrase that you're going to hear from Impartner, ask more about that when you talk to us. A smart link is a deep link. It's not a generic link. A lot of times, you think about your own personal experience. You see an offer, you click on it, the offer takes you to the home page of a brand. And then you've got to, sort of search for that which you were interested in. Well, with Impartner's TCMA and this smart linking technology, the message and the offer are directly linked so that the prospect doesn't have to do anything but consume content and fill out a form. Okay, so let's do that. Let me fill out this form. So I'm going to play the role of this guy named Ben Castle. Okay. So I'm just going to fill this out. You guys can determine that which you want to capture from the prospect. Everything that we do, we have GDPR, we have CAN spam, we have all of the technologies in place to make sure that you're treating your prospects' data with respect and privilege there. So once I submit this, what happens, right? We would expect that this lead is sent to Jane. We should also expect that lead to be visible by the brand, right? The brand created the content that prompted the lead. Arches, Jane, generated the demand through her connections. So both of them have rights to see that lead. So where does Jane go to see that lead? Well, she's notified via email. Hey, you got a new lead. Your campaign just generated something. Go check it out. So she can come into the portal. Again, one-stop shop for Jane. She can come into the portal, and under a leads dashboard, she can see that lead. She can see where it came from and the disposition of that lead. And as she starts working this lead, all of the disposition, all of the activity is visible by the brand, by Alta, right? There's no more black box lead management. The brand can see what the partner's doing. The partner can tell the brand what's happening. The attribution is real. Jane should be absolutely assured that this lead has been credited to her so that when it closes, she gets paid. The final thing that I'll show you here is the insight. So we are proposing that this kind of self-service, point and click adoption of TCMA will generate high volumes of campaign executions. So as a brand owner, I want to know what partners are executing the campaigns, which campaigns have a higher rate of adoption than others? What campaigns are generating more leads than others? And so in this case, this is a dashboard within the PRM that shows just that. I've just filtered it so that, again, I, the brand owner, can say, this particular social message has a pretty good reach, lots of calls to action, and here are the partners that are executing that particular campaign. What tremendous insight this provides me as a marketer. Now I can steer my time, my investment into those campaigns and those channels that are most successful, and I can devalue and sort of move investment away from that which isn't being adopted and isn't being used. Or maybe I have an assumption that a campaign should be better than it is, so maybe what I'll do is help adopt and maybe adjust my training around those particular campaigns. But the fact that this insight is part of the platform and it's not an additional cost, and you don't have to call me to ask, how am I doing? You guys can check that out yourselves, is a massive win for the brand owners and those that manage campaigns. So folks, I hope you get a sense that as we're really truly dovetailing a TCMA technology into that PRM that we've offered for decades in the market, and those two technologies working together are solving a decade's worth of problems that TCMA has tried to overcome. Partner adoption, ease of use, targeted communications, multi-channel attribution, and the insights that allow an organization to control the message, but allow the partners the ability to execute against those campaigns. So thanks so much for taking some time looking at our technologies. Hopefully we can go a little bit deeper with you at a later date, but hopefully that gives you kind of a flavor of what we're offering and the power of this technology. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you so much, everybody. You know, Glenn, such great insights, right? It's clear. In 2021, right now, in our current normal, demand generation for partners is absolutely critical. They want it, they need it, they're going to choose you because of it. Glenn, I love your phrase that there are no rubbish partners. There are just partners whose needs are not being met. I think that's a great phrase. And so, you know, the examples that you've shared, Rob, that rather terrifying example of 100K spend with 300 partners and only 7 people are using it, I would ask everybody, you know, out there, as you're thinking about it, you need to be driving demand for your partners. You need to make sure that you're understanding why they're really not doing anything. You need to understand whether the solutions that you're using are having you suffer from a lack of adoption because you're using a TCMA SRS. We challenge you to really evolve your solutions. These slides should be changing, but I think there's a little bit of delay. So if you're ready to evolve your solutions, we would love to talk to you about the Impartner Demand Generation Center. We are very proud to work with top corporations around the world. It's a stunning list that we really are so proud of. That slide is a little crowded, but don't worry, there's a little bit of space left. Love to talk to you about TCMA. We love to talk to you about PRM. You know, please reach out and take a demo, or to Glenn as you're looking to amplify your channel marketing, and certainly to Rob to clarify anything you've heard. So thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll look forward to working with you in the marketplace moving forward. Thank you so much, everyone.